The time is 8:45 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Lakshman Fonseca and read by Tilani Pires. A project to be launched to make a paperless parliament. The US says it has donated over 3.4 million doses of the COVID vaccine to Sri Lanka to combat the pandemic. The Foreign Ministry says Sri Lanka will continue to engage purposefully and cordially with the United Nations. The GMOA protest continues for the third day today. An express night train service between Colombo Fort and Badulla commences from tonight. And on watch light, air quality in the Colombo city is to remain unhealthy and polluted. And on international news, the UN exempts humanitarian aid to Afghans from ban. A plan of action is to be launched to reduce the use of paper in Parliament under the theme Paperless Parliament. The Environment Minister Mahinda Amaravira said that a large number of books and many paper-based documents have piled up on the table, and that contributes to a great deal of environmental damage as well as a waste of resources. The decision was revealed during a meeting held at the ministry yesterday. The meeting was chaired by Ministry Secretary Dr. Anil Jasinghe and several Parliament officials. The Environment Minister also said that the ministry would submit a proposal to make a paperless Parliament shortly. He also said that the printing of the Hansard costs around 1 million per day. The US has already donated over 3.4 million doses of the COVID vaccine to Sri Lanka. The State Department said that its latest donation to Sri Lanka was an additional 821,340 Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine doses and noted that vaccines are critical to stopping the spread of COVID-19. The vaccines have been donated to Sri Lanka via the COVAX facility. U.S. Chartered Affairs Martin Kelly assures the United States supports Sri Lanka's ongoing efforts to vaccinate as many people as possible. She added widespread vaccination is vital to ending the pandemic and preventing the emergence of new variants to rebuild livelihoods. She said the U.S. is working closely with the Sri Lankan Ministry of Health, UNICEF and the World Health Organization to build a world that is safer and more secure against the threat of infectious disease. Sri Lanka says it will continue to engage purposefully and cordially with the United Nations but opposes excessive interference into the internal affairs of the country. When he met the newly appointed envoys representing 17 countries at the Foreign Ministry, Foreign Minister Professor G.L. Pires expressed his dismay over the issue of setting up of a special mechanism by the UN whose sole purpose. He says the sole purpose is to collect data and to use against the goodwill of the island. He also said the government is of the view that there was insufficient representation in the African continent. He said the government has taken measures to strengthen relations with the African countries. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The island-wide trade union action launched by the Government Medical Officers Association, the GMOA, to protest continues for the third day today. A discussion has been held last night between the Minister of Health, the Secretary to the Ministry of Health and the GMOA regarding the existing issues. It had ended unsuccessfully with no proper solution. It is reported the GMOA has requested in writing that the trade unions function in the transfer boards of doctors be made legal. GMOA Central Committee member Dr. Prasad Kolambage told the media that they will intensify their trade union action and continue until their demands are met. He added the government has not responded positively to their demands. However, the emergency care services, duties of maternity hospitals, children's hospitals and cancer hospital will be conducted without any disruption, he said. The strike was launched on Tuesday morning based on 7 demands, including transfer issues of medical doctors. An express night train service between Colombo Fort and Badulla will commence from tonight. The Railway Department said the first night train between Colombo Fort and Badulla was scheduled to leave Colombo Fort at 8:30 p.m. tonight. The train will leave Badulla at 5:50 p.m. tomorrow. This train will run at the same time as a night mail train between Colombo Fort and Badulla. The Railway General Manager said the night train service is operated with modern facilities and S14 power sets have been set to the service. The decision on whether to extend or lift the enjoining order imposed on the People's Bank, preventing the payment to the Chinese company and its local agent over the organic fertilizer dispute, will be issued on January the 6th. Colombo Commercial High Court Judge Pradeep Hettiarachchi said the enjoining order barring People's Bank from making any payments to the above agreement will be extended until that day. The court extended the injunction when a petition filed by the Colombo Commercial Fertilizer Company was taken up for hearing today. Petitioner Fertilizer Company had earlier stated in court that the Chinese company Qingdao Sewing Biotech Group Company Limited had taken steps to send a consignment of fertilizer to Sri Lanka under the tender. However, the National Plant Quarantine Service were found on laboratory tests that it contained harmful bacteria and other organisms in some of the fertilizer samples. Colombo Commercial Fertilizer Company alleged Chinese company had not fulfilled the requirements accepted in the tender. That ends the local news for now.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
The Director General of Health Services confirmed 21 more coronavirus-related deaths for December 22nd. It has increased the death toll in the country to 14,832 due to the pandemic. Meanwhile, the Health Ministry warns the public to take utmost care during the festive season. It requests the public to control gatherings and engaging festivals to control the pandemic. That came to you on our segment Main News Story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedamahatmya.
Continuing with Watchlight tonight, the National Building Research Organization says the air quality in the Colombo city is to remain unhealthy and polluted. The organization warns sensitive people to be cautious of this situation. Senior scientist H.D. Sarath Premasuri said air quality index values have been recorded alarming rates during the last 3 days, and it is expected to remain at the same range in the next 5 days as well. He added, according to the U.S. Environmental Protection Agency, when AQI values are between 101 and 150, members of sensitive groups might experience health effects, but the general public was unlikely to be affected. That came to you in Watchlight.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
Christmas and New Year sales with CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable prizes and vouchers for CIB beers during the entire month of December. 20% discount will be given for bank cards and for gift vouchers. Visit CIB today as well.
World News headlines first. The UN exempts humanitarian aid to Afghans from ban. A study finds a third dose of AstraZeneca is effective against the Omicron coronavirus variant. Nigeria destroys more than 1 million doses of expired AstraZeneca vaccines. The United Nations Security Council has adopted a resolution that exempts humanitarian financial assistance from sanctions imposed on Taliban leaders. The Council unanimously approved the resolution on Wednesday, paving the way for emergency aid to reach Afghans who face severe food shortages. The economic crisis in Afghanistan has deepened since the Islamic group Taliban regained control in August and the country's overseas assets were frozen. Non-governmental organizations were trying to offer financial and other assistance, but there were concerns that such aid could violate a past council resolution that imposed sanctions on some Taliban leaders. The latest resolution says provision of funds, goods and services for humanitarian aid activities do not violate such sanctions. A third dose of AstraZeneca's COVID-19 vaccine is effective against the Omicron coronavirus variant, the pharmaceutical company has said, citing data from an independent Oxford University lab study. 2 studies in the UK provided some early hints that the new Omicron coronavirus variant may be milder than the Delta strain. Any reductions in severity will need to be weighed against the fact Omicron spreads much faster than Delta and is more able to evade vaccines, the studies say. Coronavirus infections have begun rising again across the 6 Gulf Arab states after months of low or falling figures, data from health ministries have showed. Nigeria has destroyed more than 1 million doses of expired AstraZeneca vaccines in a bid to assure the wary public that they have been taken out of circulation. Authorities said some COVID-19 doses donated by rich Western nations had a shelf life that left only weeks to administer the jabs. The Reuters news agency reported on December 7th that about 1 million COVID-19 vaccines were estimated to have expired in Nigeria in November without being used. At a dump site in Abuja, a bulldozer crushed AstraZeneca shots that were packed in cardboard boxes and plastic as reporters and health officials watched. Meanwhile, the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency told reporters that a shortage of vaccine supplies had forced Nigeria to take the doses, knowing full well that they had a short shelf life. Back to the world news headlines. The UN exempts humanitarian aid to Afghans from ban. A study finds a third dose of AstraZeneca is effective against the Omicron coronavirus variant. Nigeria destroys more than 1 million doses of expired AstraZeneca vaccines. That ends World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of
Christmas and New Year sales with CIB Janajaya Vasana has commenced. Valuable prizes and vouchers for CIB bills during the entire month of December. 20% discount will be given for bank cards and for gift vouchers. Visit CIB today as well.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
And on development news, Sri Lanka's apparel sector and key industry trade unions have signed a historic agreement that ensures business owners and employees to work together. The MOU is mainly based on maintaining continued vigilance on pandemic prevention and other such related issues. The MOU was signed between the Joint Apparel Association Forum, Sri Lanka, and the Union Collective. The Union Collective includes unions of free trade zones, General Services Employees Union, Sri Lanka Nidhas Sevaka Sangamaya, and the National Union of Seafarers. That was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
Moving on with sports news. Sri Lanka's Cricket Selection Committee has selected the Sri Lanka Under 19 squad to take part in the Under 19 Youth Asia Cup. The Under 19 Asia Cup will be held in the UAE from 23rd December to the 31st of December. Sri Lanka will play Nepal on the 26th of December and Bangladesh on the 28th of December. The Minister of Youth and Sports, Nama Rajapaksa, approved the squad. Dunit Vellage is the captain of the team and Ravin De Silva will play as the vice-captain. That was sports news.
For all foreign currencies remitted through NSB based on the US dollar value, 10 rupees more per dollar, plus more gifts until 31st December 2021. NSB, the safest place for your money.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
20 construction companies from Sri Lanka and Nepal connected via Zoom for an interactive virtual session. The session was jointly organized by the Sri Lanka Embassy in Nepal and the Export Development Board of Sri Lanka on the 21st of December 2021. The participating companies represented sectors ranging from building construction, road development and all other construction fields. That came to you in Business News.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSB globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSB Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB U Trust.
And we continue with economic news. Economic activities in the Western Province have declined by 1% 2019 due to the pandemic situation. Central Province with 11.3% and Northwestern Province with 11% were ranked at second and third positions respectively. All the provinces have contributed fairly in terms of the agricultural activities ranging from 7.7% to 17.6%. Economics say Western Province secured the largest share of 38% of the country's normal GDP. That was economic news.
I bought my daughter a laptop for her work by managing my finances. Whatever the expenses may be, I can't afford to miss out on life's special moments like her birthday or our anniversary. So you need to invest to make your family's future flourish.
Saving money isn't easy when you have responsibilities. That's why we promise to give you the best returns on your investment. LOLC Finance Fixed Deposits. Maximize your savings. LOLC Finance PLC, incorporated on the 13th of December 2001, is rated SLA stable by Sri Lanka Limited and is licensed by the Monetary Board of the Central Bank of Sri Lanka under the Finance Business Act number 42 of 2011.
The weather report. The Met Department says mainly fair weather will prevail over most parts of the island. There's a possibility of ground frost in some places in the Nuwara district in the early hours of the morning. Misty conditions can be expected in the western, Sabaragamuwa, central, north central and Nuwara provinces and in Galle and Mathura districts during the morning. That was the weather report, and now to end this news broadcast, the main points once again. A project to be launched to make a paperless parliament. The US says it has donated over 3.4 million doses of the COVID vaccine to Sri Lanka to combat the pandemic. The foreign minister says Sri Lanka will continue to engage purposefully and cordially with the United Nations. The GMOA protest continues for the third day today. An express night train service between Colombo Fort and Badulla commences from tonight. And on watch light, air quality in the Colombo city is to remain unhealthy and polluted. And on international news, the UN exempts humanitarian aid to Afghans from ban. That ends this news broadcast.